Welcome to For Mannerless Women. I'm your host, Adelle Onyango, and this is a space committed to nurturing a new generation of shame-free women who are ready to meet their best selves. And in this episode, we're unpacking friendship with journalist Kui Mwai, whose Vogue article on why friendships die went viral globally because so many people connected with it. So first and foremost, it's great to finally meet you and sit down with you. I see all of the incredible stuff you do on TikTok when it comes to reviewing films and also your incredible articles as well.
Thank you.
So thanks for making time to be on For Mannerless Women.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it here. As you can tell by how I've just been chit-chatting away.
Like you just have you here for every episode.
And just have me here all the time.
Yes.
We can have a little segment.
You just like pop up.
Yes! That's what I love to do.
So this one article that you wrote that really stands out, and I think I can't remember the year you wrote it, but people keep going back to it.
Yeah.
And you wrote it for Vogue, first and foremost. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But the article is about friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Can you unpack it, especially for people who have not read it and they don't know why it's like perpetually trending? Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for all of the kind words. I wrote it back in 2013. No, 2023. Not the same year. The same year. They all blend together after a while, don't they? Yeah. And essentially in it, I revisited 4 former friendships and I asked those former friends, hey, why did these relationships not work out? To hopefully learn something meaningful about friendships, especially in adult years. It can be complicated. It can be weird. They can be hard to maintain. And I found myself at the time really craving answers. So I thought we're better than to go to the source.
That is so interesting. And it's true. I love that you talk about adult friendships because we don't go through the transition well. So like in primary school, high school, a lot of the work around making friends is done for us.
Oh yeah.
You're in the same setting, your parents are putting you guys together, like everything is done for you and then you're released into the world and it's like, how do I maintain?
You're going through the same things at the same time. You have all these different spaces where you can explore different interests, all of these things that help foster relationships. And then one day you just leave school and it's over, right?
Yes.
Like you lose all of this infrastructure. And one of the things to go, I think, is healthy relationships. Like it's really hard to maintain that without that sort of safety.
So tell me about the article.
Yeah.
What was it like making those calls? Were any of the 4 friendships, did any of them end like on a bad note or did they just fizzle out? What was take me through that experience of making those calls?
Yeah. Whoa, making those calls. Not so fun. Everything came together pretty quickly. I had been pitching Vogue for a while, different sort of iterations of what the article could look like. In the beginning, I had wanted to frame it around wedding season because I think that weddings and sort of those milestones, those adult milestones, they kind of put a weird perspective on relationships. I found that when my friends were getting engaged and married, it made me sort of like re-examine my friendships and re-examine where I was in my life in a different way. Anyways, they weren't interested. But I still felt very pulled to have this conversation. And then, just out of nowhere, I was like, oh, like, what if I actually was in conversation with these former friends and wrote about the experience? And then they said yes very quickly. And then I was like, oh, now I have to do this. So I reached out to a good amount of people. I, of course, had a list in my mind, right, of people. And they were a mix, right? Some of them were more, there was more drama surrounding the end of the friendships. But honestly, the majority of them were just like fizzled. And weirdly enough, I felt more nervous about those ones than I did the bad ones. Maybe because I just assumed that they would like say no, and a good amount of them did. But actually, a lot more people were more open to it than I thought that they were. And so, I think the hardest part definitely was the initial reaching out. Like that was really nerve-wracking because I was just like, hey, like, hi friends. You haven't heard from me in a while. Like, where do you even call them, right? Like, hey, so-and-so or hey, so-and-so. Like, it felt weird, right? Like, what kind of language, what kind of vernacular do you even use? So that was the hardest part. But I just was like, listen, I just have to like be honest, right? And be like, listen, like, this is a crazy thing that I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Your privacy and your mental health are my top concern. So if you aren't comfortable doing this, that's totally fine. If you are, here are the ways that I'll protect you. And then really from there, it was like actually okay. The conversations themselves actually were like a lot lot less scary. I think because I built it so much in my head, and there were, it took a lot of time also too to like get back to people and to find people. I've been blocked sometimes by being honest, and also just like tracking down people over losing contact over years, right? Like Instagram handles change and things like that. So but the conversations themselves actually ended up being okay, and then the writing of it came really organically from there.
Before we get to like what the conversations taught you, like you've said something that's so interesting. So you're looking for someone and you realize that you're blocked. What were they? What are the emotions before you write the article? So during the time when you're reaching out, what are some of the emotions that you're faced with? So you realize someone has blocked you, or you see someone and you see there's so many milestones you've missed out on from somebody who you used to be close to. What are you feeling in that moment?
I think I felt a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt about why the relationships ended. And I think I'm somebody who I already really struggle with guilt. And I tend to feel like if something has gone wrong, I do feel like I tend to take 90% of the blame, even though in most situations in life, right? It's a 50-50, everybody has their role. But I always sort of feel like I take a lot of responsibility for my part. So I was very overwhelmed by guilt. And with every person that I reached out to, obviously those guilty feelings kind of came up to the surface. A big one was anxiety. I really was. I was very nervous. I was very much oh my God, how do I have the audacity to do this? Of just popping back into this person's life, I never left, and being hey, do you want to air our dirty laundry out, for a good amount of people to read? Hey. And then I felt I was am I being selfish? So those are kind of the thoughts that were circling through my head.
And then afterwards, what did you learn about friendships? What are the takeaways that you previously didn't have?
I think it was a really beautiful reminder that oftentimes in life, when the way that we remember things, particularly things that are negative, especially as it pertains to the way relationships end, whether they're platonic, familial, whether they're romantic, I think that we always think that it was worse than it really was. Of course, in instances of abuse, and those are different, right? I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking more about the everyday sort of fallouts, right? It's usually not as bad as you think that it is. And I think that people are also more forgiving than you think that they are. I was very surprised by how little animosity there actually was on the other party's side, because I'm really thinking that I messed up in X, Y, and Z ways. I didn't do X, Y, and Z, but there's a lot more understanding and there's a lot more fluidity, I think, with friendships, right? I felt it was easier to slip back into a more friendly back and forth dynamic. So I think that really friendships are more fluid than I think that we're told societally that they are.
And I think it's when something happens, you're it's over. It's terrible. It's over. Let's not revisit. And when you go back, I guess even with the gift of time, you're was it really that bad? You know what I mean? Did any of the friends that you spoke to, any of those friendships spark up again?
That's a really good question. I think I'm going to say no, and here's why. There's definitely no love lost, right? We are still there's still a lot of love there. There's still a lot of connection there. But I think also there's just realities to our lives now, right? Most of the people that I spoke with live in the US. Obviously, that's halfway around the world. There's only so many ways that we can stay close. Also, just a lot of time had passed for most of those relationships. So obviously there's not going to be a full, I don't want to say a full repair, but it can't be what it was, right? And I struggled with that for a long time. I actually wrote about it on my blog, Bad African, looking back on it 2 years later. And I did really struggle with a lot of disappointment, right? Because I do think that because the conversations were more positive than I thought that they were going to be, I was oh my God, we're going to be best friends again. Yes, let's do it. Let's go on the trips. Let's commit to FaceTimes a month, all of this stuff. But then, life happens. And I had to sort of be this doesn't mean that there isn't still love there. There isn't even still a friendship there. It's just not what it was, and that's okay.
What's interesting and what I find difficult rather with friendships, I almost prefer friendships ending with a reason, even if the reason is painful, because then I'm there was a reason. Maybe you acted out in a way that I didn't appreciate. Maybe I acted in a way that you didn't there's a reason. Rather than the ones that fizzle.
Oh, yeah.
Or the ones where you evolve past someone.
Yeah.
And past a friendship. Have you experienced that, the evolving past a friendship?
I would say the majority of my friendship breakups has been like that. And you're right. Like, I do think it is more painful because, again, it's like, why, right? And you have such love for this person. It's like a romantic relationship. I think this is where platonic and romantic relationships really mirror each other. Like, of course, like, it's terrible to be cheated on. Yeah. It's terrible to get in like a fight with somebody, but at least it's a tangible kind of pain that you understand how to deal with it, right? Like, you go through your stages of grief, you mourn it, you get it all out, then you move on. Yeah. But when you're still struggling with the why and you're not sure why the separation has happened, that is way, way, way more painful. And it's a hard sort of reality that, like, most of the times in life, people are only in your life for a season. Very rarely are they there for life, which is okay. You know what I mean? I think it makes us appreciate the lifelong relationships even more.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think when we talk about like friendships maybe being for a season and that being normal?
Yes.
I first, heard of this from my therapist.
Yes.
And I remember she made a statement that I was like, that's strange. She was like, yeah, if people tell me, oh, I've been friends with this person for 20, 30 years, she always takes it with a pinch of salt. She doesn't really believe it. And I was like, what do you mean? We're all struggling to have those friendships that last eons.
Right.
And she was like, the amount of work it takes and the seasons that you're each going through, it's very difficult.
It's very difficult. Yes.
And so what do you feel about some of the expectations that are pushed on us when it comes to female friendships? Like, they need to last. I've been friends with Kui for 20 years. We go, as you're saying, we have a FaceTime every month.
Yep.
We go on a girls' trip every quarter, whatever it is, right? What do you feel about these expectations and the pressures of what female friendships should look like and how long they should last?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I think it's insurmountable and I think it's really unrealistic. I think if we're comparing intergenerationally, like looking at our parents' generation, they have kind of painted this picture of like, oh my gosh, like this sort of like steadfast, like continued thread of friendship that has lasted from primary school to now, 50, 60 years, right? Of just consistent showing up for people, consistent being close. But like, that's really not the reality of it, right? Like, life changes so much. And the more realistic picture of friendships, they ebb and flow, right? Yeah. You go through different things. Maybe you get married at different points. Maybe some people don't get married, have kids, don't have kids. Like, these are all big things that affect our lives and they affect the way that we relate to each other. I'm really lucky that my mom has always been very honest with me about sort of the ebbs and flows of her life and how it's affected her relationships, especially her platonic ones. And when she got divorced, right? Like, she was the only person in her friend group experiencing that. So her friends couldn't relate to what she was going through, right? So there was a little bit of a separation there. But what has been so nice to see is that now it's been almost a decade plus since my parents got divorced. Now she's found a way back to some of those friendships. They've been able to find new connections. So it is really more of a ever-evolving ebb and flow. It's not this stagnant, completely calm waters. But again, like, the societal picture isn't that, especially for African women. Oh my gosh, the narrative is that we have to be so giving to our communities. And that really, to me, like, it starts with the family. And I think the next sort of phase of that is friendships, right? Like, the external sort of like tribe outside of the immediate family has to be sort of served and appreciated as much as the immediate family. But like, girl, who has time for that? Who has time for a husband and kids and work, and also what we owe to ourselves? And capitalism, and what we owe to ourselves as individuals. It's a lot that we are put on ourselves. And even though those realities existed for our mothers and our grandmothers, society hasn't shifted enough in Africa to be able to reflect that. In terms of how we look at women and relationships, we're still thought of, they have to be pillars, they have to be strong, they have to maintain. And I just I'm over it.
And all the time. There's like a consistency to that as well, right?
Yes.
And I love what you're talking about in terms of like externally, like you're just giving and giving to all of these relationships.
Yes.
But I don't think we actually spend as much time in terms of our own relationship itself and identity. And so how do you balance, like, in terms of the friendships that you have now and showing up for them in a way that honors you, Kui, but also your relationship itself and your identity, so you don't get lost in your friends?
can I be so honest on the show right now? I don't think that I'm doing a great job at it. Like, I really don't think that I am. I think that I'm really accustomed to like checking in on myself. I've spent a huge chunk of my life alone. And that's not like in a negative way. That's not like by trying to suggest any kind of neglect. I've just like had a lot of like solo experiences, whether it's like moving from here to the US for college on my own with like no family close to me. You know what I mean? After college, I moved to Paris and I worked as an au pair for a couple of months. Don't speak French, don't know anybody in Paris. So I've had a lot of experiences where I've been on my own. So I really know how to like serve myself. What I'm now trying to figure out is, okay, how do I start to bring people back in while still like maintaining my boundaries? This is like no shade to my beautiful Kenyan sisters out there, but I don't think that we live in a culture that is very well versed on boundaries. Something that I have really struggled with in friendships here is trying to find a way to maintain those connections while also being firm in what my boundaries are and where I am in my life. I think a lot of times I feel isolated because of that. So to be totally honest with you, it's something that I'm still trying to navigate. I'm still trying to find the connections that I really want to invest in. And I'm still trying to figure out, okay, how do I invest in them while still staying true to myself, while not like insulting anybody or isolating myself in the process. It's harder than I think anybody is really owning up to, if I'm being totally honest. It's really hard. And there isn't a lot of grace on either end. Do you know what I mean?
I want to spend some time on the boundaries in friendships, because that is difficult.
People are going to get so mad at me. They're going to get really upset with me because I'm about to be so honest.
Because it's like the guilt that comes with setting boundaries in friendships is real. And you almost feel like you're going against what you've been socialized to believe. Again, back to like giving, friendship needs to look like. And there's honestly also, if we're being very honest, the way we're socialized is I'm showing up for Kui so that when I need Kui to show up for me.
Transactional.
Right? And so when your boundary interrupts that, there's also the feeling of like, what if I'm going to go through ABCD in 2 months? Will she show up? What has your experience with boundaries been?
How much time do we have? It's something that I do think stops me from pursuing connections here, because I really just feel like there isn't, I don't want to say that there's a lack of an understanding, because I think that is condescending to like our intelligence as a people. Like, I think conceptually we understand the concept of boundaries and why they're important. On the ground though.
How does it show up?
I feel like I get punished a lot by the friends that I have because of my boundaries, or even just like my different lifestyle, right? Like, I'm a creative. I have 17 jobs active at any moment. I also work in the US times. So I work in the evenings, right? So it just kind of like closed me off from a lot of things. And there's just like, I find that because of that, there's a lot of animosity and lack of understanding. And it comes out in these, I find that I almost feel attacked is dramatic, but for lack of a better word, I experience these little moments of attacking, right? Like, oh, well, you know, Chloe never does that. Or like, oh, girl, well, you'll never do that. Or like, I know I can't rely on you on that, just because of these conditions of my life. And it feels suffocating. It feels unfair. It feels almost like my character is being taken into question just because like my time level is a little bit different than maybe it was 5-10 years ago, right? And I think that's also a big part of it too. I wrote about this actually on my blog, Bad African. I do think, again, just being honest, no shade. I understand there's a lot of socioeconomic implications that make this be the case. It's external from us as a society, right? Like, that's our government, that's our history, so many things, right? But we do have a little bit of an arrested development problem here, right? Like, people are just like a little bit late. They come to coming of age a little bit later. No problem with that. But it does kind of create this interesting dynamic where I feel like I have to uphold the standards that I had for my friends, like when I was high school, early 20s. You know, being 10, 15 years out of that, it's really hard for me to kind of switch back to that mentality and be like, yeah, like, let's do X, Y, and Z. You know, when you're young, you're like so available to your friends. Right? And that is how you connect with people. That's how you show people that you love each other. You can't maintain that in adulthood, right? Like, we have so many other responsibilities that we have to be privy to. And so sometimes playing with those dynamics, it can be really difficult. And I think it stops me from being the best friend. It stops me from connecting people to people the way that I would love to. And it's something that I'm in real time really trying to negotiate with.
And I think with boundaries, it's like, yes, you may have your own boundaries in terms of like, I can't commit to this, or I can't, whatever your reason is, right? But you kind of like have to adjust how you communicate them to each person.
Right.
Because
Yes.
everybody will receive it differently,
Oh,
right?
yes, which is inherently exhausting, right? No, but it is. It's a form of code switching.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, who can handle what and how, you know?
This again.
Yeah. And then how do I stop myself from being like excluded?
Yeah.
And like, listen, I get it, right? Like from the other person's perspective, if
Yeah.
you feel like I'm not showing up for you, of course you're going to
Yeah.
want to like edge me out of your life a little
Yeah.
bit. But like, that's shitty for me because I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, like, it's not even that I don't care. It's
Yeah.
just that like, I
can't.
ain't nothing going on but the rent. You know what I mean? And like, girl, like, let's be in that together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find people being like, really being like, I don't get like, why are you so busy? And I'm like, you know, it's the lifestyle.
This is so interesting. And so what are some of the tips maybe if somebody is trying to like set boundaries in their friendships?
Yeah.
What's a way they can do it in a way that's gentle?
Yes.
In a way, but still upholds
Yes.
what it is they're trying to do. And still honors them.
Yes.
Like, I need to honor myself and say that I don't have the bandwidth for this. Are there some tips that you have learned in the code switching?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think the biggest thing really is like honest, loving communication. That's what I haven't been good at the past. Like I will be really afraid of like hurting somebody's feelings or coming off as being, you know, like headstrong or like selfish. So I have like concealed when I felt like my boundary has been crossed. I'll give you an example, anecdote. So I moved back here as an adult in 2020. I had lived here in high school. I had always come to Kenya when I lived abroad during holidays and things like that. But I went to high school here, went back for college, came back here in 2020. Early in my return, I kind of like fell into a friend group by way of my boyfriend, right? And like in the beginning, everything was great. Everybody was really open to each other. We were all very enthusiastic about the friendship. It got toxic quickly, is what I'll say. It's what I'll say. And a big issue that I had a hard time sort of dealing with was the thing of sleepovers. Let me start by saying this.
Yeah.
I'm an only child, and I was like a very sheltered only child. So I went to sleepovers rarely as a kid. And they were usually with like approved people, like my parents were those psychos. Do you know what I'm saying? And like I think, and this might be like an only child thing, but like I tend to be like a little territorial about my space. I just, as an adult, I don't love sleepovers. Like for me, I know that my warm bed is waiting for me at home. Like I'm just gonna take my ass home, right? Like I love you, I love you, I love you,
and my bed,
and I love my bed. So I'm just gonna see y'all. But there's this one incident where it was 2 of our girlfriends' birthdays, and we had like, you know, a whole day planned, right? Like day party, we were gonna go out at night, this whole thing, and then we were gonna have a sleepover, and then we were gonna go to brunch the next day. I was just like not feeling the sleepover, but like you tell me, audience, like what's the best way to say that, right? That isn't insulting, that isn't like, oh, I don't want to be in your stank ass house. Like, to me, there was no way I could communicate that without
it. Lie.
Right, and I don't want to lie, right? But I was just kind of like, oh, like, I'm not feeling great, which actually was true. I ended up getting my period in the middle of the day at that point. So like, I tried all these little ways, right, to get out of it, but like, ooh, it turned on me real quick. They were like, you never want to do this. No. And I immediately attacked, right? So then I was like, I just kind of like shut down. I ended up doing it. I didn't have a good time. I don't think that I was my best self to like those wonderful women at the time too. And so like, I think I've made that mistake a lot. I think that if I had just been honest and been like, hey, like, I love you guys. I'm just like, not a big like sleepover girl. Like, take me or leave me, right? Like, I do think it is worth it to show up as your full self to whatever relationship you have and be like, listen, cards on the table. This is who I am. I love you and I want to show up for you in whatever way I can. But it's just a boundary that I have personally. So I think most important is just being honest, being communicative. Like when you start to feel that feeling of your boundary being crossed. If that's your real homegirl, that's your real friend, like they will come to you as you are and be like, girl, don't even worry about it. I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. I feel you on the sleepover thing now.
I'm sorry. I can't share a bed. I'm 30. My back hurts. I need to sleep in a starfish position. You know what I mean?
Even like the resets. Like I feel like because we're shooting a lot of shows in Nairobi. I live in Limuru.
Oh, where?
In Riara Ridge.
Oh, cute.
Yes,
My mom listens to Jikoni, so
cool.
Sister.
Oh my goodness. No sleepover.
No sleepovers. But you can, of course, come over.
You can visit.
And we can enjoy a lovely evening or day together.
And everybody goes home. But my friend said, why don't you come and stay over with me in Nairobi, like while you're filming? And I was just like, oh my God, no.
No.
But it's more about like, I need the reset.
Of
Like
course.
I need to be in my bed and wake up from my bed.
Yes.
I'll feel like, okay, it's a new day, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
So I hear you on that. And if you can communicate your boundaries in a way and in a way that you know is respectful and is honest, it's not your fault if the space maybe fails you and isn't as safe as what you thought it was, right?
Yes.
Before we get to solitude and how powerful that can be in figuring out your relationship with self to the point where you can even know your boundaries and know how to feed into yourself, how did you make, I know you mentioned like your boyfriend, and so that's how you got your first group of friends. But as an adult, do you find it hard to make new friends? Because I find it like very strange.
It's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst because like, I think especially in a place like Nairobi where like the majority of people have lived here their whole lives, have their same friend group. I don't want to say that there aren't individuals out here, but like usually, you know, when you look at these group of friends, like there's a lot of homogeneousness within the group, right? Like everyone likes to do the same kind of stuff. They have their routine. They're happy in their routine. Understandable. That's fantastic. That's your right. But when it comes to infiltrating and making new relationships, not the easiest dynamic to enter. So I think it's especially hard. And again, like doing all that while balancing the realities of your life, giving yourself to your career, giving yourself to any romantic partner, to your family, to yourself. Like it's a lot to take on. It's really hard. And I don't think it ever gets any better.
Yeah.
Which is the reality.
Do you feel like there's an intentionality around it? Like I tried because I was like, I want to have more female friends.
Yes.
I'm going to like...
Same. Let's be friends.
Please,
done. Great.
I know.
That's why I came here. Done. So I can leave now, yeah?
But I was like, you know what? I'll identify people and be like, oh, Koi's really good. We're vibing.
Yes.
And then I'll be like, oh, let's do lunch.
Yes.
And the anxiety, I would fall off afterwards.
Yes.
Like I would just be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
Like,
that's happened to me with so many people.
Really?
Yeah, because like, how do you massage the relationship? Like, what are sort of like the benchmarks of creating a true friend? Like, do we have to go on a trip together? Do we have to like have X amount of lunches? Like, weirdly, it's like kind of weird to quantify. And then all throughout, like kind of testing each other's boundaries. Like, what's your room for friendship? What's my room for friendship? What's your room for massaging this new relationship? Like, are you into me as much as I'm into you? And again, like we can talk about this on the romantic level because there's such like a rich history of society exploration of romantic love in this way, right? Like it's dating, right? Like it's friend dating. Like, and I wish that people talked more about it on the friendship level because like, you know, at the end of the day with romantic relationships, you're going to find your way out together. The party is just as awkward as you are. And at least we have some touchstones on a cultural level that we can go to when we are feeling lost. But with friendships, we don't have the same kind of thing, right? We don't have the same kind of barometer of success. We don't have the same kind of barometer of failure. We don't have the same kind of like guidance. So it's really hard.
And even expectation of like, what is this journey of like making a new friend meant to look like?
We
don't know. So it's
what
just
is
like,
it? I don't know.
Who sets the rules? Like someone give us guidance.
What are the rules? What are the expectations?
But I think for me, what has worked is just to stop being too much in control. Like just release.
Yes.
And not everything is a project. There needs to be like spreadsheets.
I love a project, so it's unfortunate. I love a spreadsheet, so it's...
You just have to release and just let the magic kind of happen as well.
Yes.
Let's go to solitude, which I think I only started understanding the power of it in my 30s. Because traditionally, and I think culturally, as African women, Kenyan women, you don't really get opportunities to be alone.
Yes.
You grow up in a house where there's probably tons of other people.
In and out.
And then culturally, what's meant to happen is when we're talking marriage, you are picked from your house and now you go and start this other home, right? So you don't really have moments of solitude, and solitude can be quite daunting. It can be quite scary. But in the end, what I've found is that it can be a gift and a blessing. It helps you understand yourself better, to even know the type of friendships you want to keep around you. What's your experience with solitude being?
Yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, I couldn't agree with you more. Right. I think like it's I would almost say exclusively in the moments of solitude where you get to really get acquainted with yourself and see yourself in a meaningful way, right? Like you live so much of your life around people and they're distractions from the truth of who you are, from the truth of what you want in every aspect of your life. I think that I have been really lucky. I feel like I learned that lesson really quickly. My parents, when they were getting divorced, this was high school, they were on my ass all of my childhood. But then now when the marriage started deteriorating, they started kind of like getting lost in themselves in very different ways. My dad physically left the home. My mom sort of like emotionally, mentally left the home, right? Which left me really on my own in a very pivotal time in life, right? Like high school is when you are figuring out like what you want to do, who you want to be, where you want to go. You're making a lot of big life decisions. And I always am so thankful that I had that alone time because it really, that's where I really figured out like an inner strength that has never left me, has never failed me. And also really helped me figure out that lesson in and of itself, which I think is the most important lesson to learn in life. And then from there, it gave me the confidence to pursue more solitude, which again, gave me more confidence in who I am and what I want to do, especially when I went to Paris after college. That's when I think I was alone in a completely different way, right? Like, I think if you can, and if you're privileged enough and you get the opportunity to, go to a different country where you don't know anybody, where nobody knows you. That to me is really where you'll figure out who you are and what you want. It was there where I figured out where I wanted to be a writer. I figured out the kind of life that I wanted to have, at least to that extent. It's evolved over time, right? But yeah, I think that there's such power in solitude. If you can really prove to yourself that you can exist with yourself for an extended period of time, then nobody can take anything away from you. It's a kind of clarity that I think is very specific. And again, like lifelong, if you can find the ways to tap back into it. But again, the strong foundation, it'll always be there for you no matter what happens in life. And life changes. There'll be times that you will be alone, right? And I think that that's why it's so important as young as possible to get comfortable with it. Yeah.
What were some of the fears around solitude or like challenging moments? Because I think sometimes we run away from being alone with ourselves into relationships, be it friendships or romantic partners. Because when you're alone, like these things you have to face. So like, were there moments like that, especially in a foreign country where you don't speak the language?
No, it feels emotionally unsafe. It does in the beginning, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, like, where is my connection? Where is my safety net in people? It feels unsafe, and it does for a while. And you do kind of have to embrace that. Of course, the loneliness, and of course, like the mental health ramifications as well. And all of those are real things, right? And it's important to be aware of them. But like, if you can power through and find a way to check in on yourself, even if it's not long lasting. I was only in Paris for a couple of months because I got to the point where it was having damaging effects on my mental health. And so I had to make a decision for myself. But even that is empowering, right? Like I was able to build the skills to be able to look into myself, be like, oh, I'm not doing too hot. I need to make decisions for myself. And that's such an informative experience that I want everybody to have. Everyone deserves to have that moment because it shows you your inner strength.
And you can check in with yourself and you get to know yourself in a way that is out of this world. I really wish a lot more women had opportunities to 100%. Live alone, even culturally. I wish it was more accepted. Obviously, it is a privilege to some extent. But that alone time is just so transformative. And so the one thing I also want us to talk about is your writing, right? Because I think having you on the show is incredible. Your article on friendship, I think, was just so insightful.
Thank you so much.
Tell me more about what it is you're currently writing, because I think our mannerless women watching would benefit from it.
What am I not writing? Really? There's too many things going on. So my production company, Creeper Productions, we are constantly writing projects. So we currently have some scripts that we're working on for a show that I created called Namesake. I'm super excited about it. I feel like we were talking about this off air about the Kenyan industry. So that's a whole other episode. If you guys want to tell. It was a whole other conversation. But I feel like comedies, especially female-driven comedies, are not a really populated space. So Namesake is about two women, a mother and a daughter, who find themselves at a crossroads and they're thrown together together after a long period of estrangement. So chaos and healing ensue. Lots of funny messiness. I love that show. Hopefully it goes somewhere one day. So we're working on that and other projects as well. I'm also working on my first novel. So actually after, everybody studio clap for me. So actually, after I wrote that friendship essay, a publisher in New York reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in writing a novel exploring similar themes. So I'm working on a novel now. It's about a Kenyan-American girl who survives a terrorist attack in Nairobi, kind of a la Westgate. And shortly thereafter, she moves to college to the US to start over, but she's quickly there learns that coming home again isn't as easy as advertised, and you can't run away from your trauma. It's not gonna work. So that's slow, but it's coming together. I'm super excited about that. And then then I have my blog, Bad African, where I'm exploring a lot of the things that we've talked about today. Identity, relationships, also reframing Africa, not the one that folks outside of the continent see on CNN, but a real modern Africa and our real modern experiences that we're struggling with, that we're negotiating with. And then I'm constantly sort of writing outside of that. So I write part-time for a platform called Blavity. It's fantastic. Please check us out, blavity.com. And then pieces outside of that every now and again as well.
And this is why you have to have boundaries, because your time.
And you know too, right? Like when you're on camera too, because I also have my platform Movie Bus that I host with my boyfriend Will. We talk about all things movies and TV in Kenya and beyond. This takes a lot, right? Like I know your audience is watching this and they're like, oh my God, like so organic. But there's so much that goes into this, right? Your incredible team reaching out to me. We talked about this for weeks. There's so much planning. This takes a lot out of you. It's important that you have a reset. So for me, that's imperative to have in my schedule.
And so as we wrap up, for the woman who's watching, who thinks something is wrong with her because she doesn't have as many friends as she thinks or is socialized to think that she should have, or that her friendships don't look like what she's been socialized to think, you know, what we see in social media, or that she just doesn't have friends. And maybe you're thinking something is wrong with you. What would you want to tell that woman?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell her to this. First of all, girl, nothing wrong with you. Everybody is going through what you're going through. They are just projecting something very different on the channels where we can see them publicly, like social media, right? What you're going through is normal. Friendships come and go. I promise you, life is short, but it's really long too. There'll be times in your life where you'll be more social. There'll be times where you're less social. People will come in and out of your life. There's so much more ahead. Friendships will come back to your life as well. You do you, baby. You keep yourself at the forefront. Keep trusting your gut. Keep putting yourself out there. The tides will turn. They always do.
Oh my goodness. I feel like we need to have Kui with us, even on the days when we're not believing in ourselves. Like,
shouldn't I have an advice column?
Such good,
Should I add that to the blog?
Such good motivation.
Thank you. On a Monday too. Great, right?
But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
The writing that you do, it's courageous, but it pays off. Like there's so many people that you're reaching.
I embarrass myself so that you don't have to. That's my slogan. It's my catchphrase.
Thanks for taking one for the team. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Of course, if you want to connect with Kui and all of her writing, check out the description. There are links. And if you resonated with this episode, share it with all the mannerless women in your life, or almost mannerless women. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next episode.